The phases of the moon. As the moon circles the Earth, the shape of the moon appears to change. This is because different amounts of the illuminated part of the moon are facing us. The shape varies from a full moon, when the Earth is between the sun and the moon, to a new moon, when the moon is between the sun and the Earth. The new moon is the phase of the moon when the moon is not visible from Earth, because the side of the moon that is facing us is not being lit by the sun. A full moon instead appears as an entire circle in the sky.
The principal and intermediate phases are given the following names in sequential order. The important ones we'll be looking at are the new moon and the full moon. Total solar eclipses happen with the new moon, while total lunar eclipses happen with the full moon.
Friday, March 20th, 2015. On this day, the moon will be in a new moon phase. During this phase, the moon is too close to the sun in the sky to be visible. The moon rises and sets with the sun and is not present in the night sky. Because of this, the night sky is darker, and this is an excellent time to view other celestial objects. Like the full moon, a new moon happens at a very specific time when the sun and the moon have the same ecliptic longitude, and it can be measured down to the second it occurs.
The solar eclipse. On the 20th of March 2015, we're going to experience an eclipse in Greenland, all over Europe, in North Africa, and West Asia. But what is an eclipse?
An eclipse happens when one object gets in between you and another object and blocks your view. From Earth, we occasionally experience two kinds of eclipses, the eclipse of the moon and the eclipse of the sun. The eclipse that we are going to experience today in Geneva is a partial solar eclipse.
The word comes from the Greek eclipses, which means the downfall. In early history, populations like Egyptians, Babylonians, Greeks, and the Chinese experienced eclipses as early as 4,500 years ago.
Here, we'll be looking at why solar eclipses happen.
A solar eclipse happens when the sun, the moon, and the earth are lined up as shown in the diagram. During a solar eclipse, the sun shines only on one side of the moon that is not visible to us on Earth. Then, the moon casts a shadow on certain regions of the Earth, which are the places where the solar eclipse can be seen. From our point of view, it seems as if the moon is covering up the sun.
Eclipses do not take place every month because the orbits of the sun and the moon are tilted at an angle. Most of the time, the lineup is not precise enough for an eclipse. Still, solar eclipses occur more often than you might think. They happen around 2 times a year, and they are mostly partial.
The lunar eclipse. A lunar eclipse occurs when the sun, the moon, and the earth are in syzygy, or alignment, a straight line configuration of 3 celestial bodies inside a gravitational system. The result of this is that the moon appears red. That's also why it's called the blood moon. This alignment increases the gravitational pull on the moon and can cause moonquakes.
The differences. A solar eclipse happens when the Earth is directly between the sun and the moon. A lunar eclipse happens when the moon is directly between the sun and the Earth. Lunar eclipses are more common than solar eclipses. Up to 4 of them can happen every year.
The whole process of a total solar eclipse consists of 5 phases and 4 times of contact. The first contact happens when the partial eclipse begins. The moon starts entering the sun's path and looks like a crescent. During the second contact, almost all of the sun is covered by the moon and the total effect starts happening. And maximum eclipse or totality can be experienced when the moon completely covers the sun's path and now everything goes dark and quiet. The temperature also falls. The third contact puts an end to the full eclipse and the moon starts moving away from the sun's path. The partial eclipse ends with the fourth contact when the moon now leaves the sun's path. A partial solar eclipse, like the one we will experience today, occurs when the moon is not straightly covering the sun and thus the moon looks like a crescent. It consists of 3 phases and 3 phases only.
Annular solar eclipse. An annular solar eclipse occurs when the moon covers the sun's center, leaving the sun's visible outer edges to form a circle of light around the moon. The hybrid solar eclipse occurs when 2 of the 3 types mentioned morph together.